G'day guys, it's Lynette here from F-Stop Lounge. I'm very excited today. We're at Point Walter in Perth, Western Australia, and I've got Tony Hewitt here with me.
Welcome, Tony. This is my backyard, mate. This is it.
Absolutely beautiful.
You said bring you somewhere special. Here we are, middle of nowhere.
It's perfect for a landscape photographer. And Tony, you've done a lot of landscape photography in your career.
I have.
From the air and also the ground.
Yes.
What's your favourite location in Western Australia?
I have to say Shark Bay,
right?
Because of the colours and the patterns and the textures, for obvious reasons. And those who know some of my work would know why.
Okay.
But you know, anywhere, particularly if I'm up in the air looking down. And it's a funny thing. I don't want to be seen as a specialist aerial landscape photographer, but I do love it.
Yeah.
I think it's the simplicity of it.
I remember seeing your Shark Bay images, and they were truly spectacular. And they won you the award of the 2013 Australian Photographer of the Year award.
Correct.
How did that make you feel as a photographer to get that sort of recognition and achievement?
Truth.
Yeah, truth.
Obviously, I felt really, it was fantastic, obviously. At the same time, I felt a bit guilty because, you know, I'm travelling with these other guys who are great photographers because that was all part of an ND5 shoot.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, I got him first.
So you like nudged my
yeah, you know, but at the end of the day, when it comes to things like awards, my opinion or my philosophy has always been if you keep entering and you're good enough long enough, you get lucky enough sooner or later.
Okay.
You know, and you know the guys are all good with it. Yeah, I think it was a reflection more on us as a group and than just me. And for me personally, I took it as a sort of a reward for 20 years of just consistently trying to produce the absolute best I can.
Perfect. Now, for those that don't know, ND5 is sort of a collaboration, I would say, of
correct.
5 artists.
That's correct.
You've got sort of photographers and 1 videographer.
Yep.
Michael Fletcher, who's also coming along to the Fiji Photography Workshop
that's
with
right.
yourself.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about it? And I hear you've got some upcoming exhibitions.
We have, yeah. Well, ND5 is, as you said, a collaboration between Peter Eastway, Dr. Les Walkling, who's a fine art photographer, Christian Fletcher, who most people would know, and Michael Fletcher, of course, and myself. And between us, we have a lot of common interest, which is obvious, but we also have separate skill sets, you know, with publishing and the art world and galleries and public speaking and presentations and video, and that all comes together. And as a group, we go out and have a lot of fun, but don't tell our wives because they think we're working. And we go out, and the idea is we're going to the same place at the same time and showing that everyone's got a unique vision. So even if you're at the same spot, there's no reason why you should be doing something that everyone else is. Use other people's images as a starting point, but follow your own dream, follow your own heart. You know, like if you see it a way different to everybody else, fantastic. Show us the way you see. Show us what it looks like through your eyes. So the guys and I work together. We've done this is about 5 or 6 projects now.
Right.
We've had many exhibitions. We've done workshops. We've had a book that last year was the Australian Photo Book of the Year.
Wow.
At the Australian Photography Awards. That was 2016.
Okay.
And this year we've got an exhibition in March at Maud Gallery in Brisbane, and that's got and that's 2 exhibitions in one, which we haven't done before. So that's North and East. Okay. North is the Kimberley, or the build up, and East is Lord Howe Island, which was a little project we did on the side about a year and a bit ago.
Yep.
We're also running a full-day workshop with all 5 of us speaking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a couple of weeks later, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're right.
We have a really special thing happening at Monash Gallery of Art, and this is something we've been working for, particularly Les has been working for about 3 or 4 years towards, so stay tuned for that one too.
Wow, and for those that don't know, Monash Gallery is a renowned sort of artist gallery.
Correct.
And it's very hard for a photographer, let alone 5 talented artists to get in at one point. So that's based in Melbourne, and I'll certainly be going along. So all those Melbourne photographers out there, something you should check out, and especially if you're in Sydney, fly down. It's going to be well worth it.
Well, it's actually, our exhibition is part of what's called Climb Art.
Okay.
And it's the dialogue is around what's called Earth Matters. So there's a whole depth to this with some writings and things like that, including a video installation. So it's going to be brilliant.
Yeah. Now I've got 2 questions for you. Now you said when you're travelling with ND5, there's 5 of you in one location.
Yep.
And that's going to be a sort of a similar sort of situation when we go along to the Fiji workshop.
Yep.
What can you tell photographers who are coming along?
Wear shoulder pads.
Yeah, wear shoulder pads, right. Yeah, we're going to be in small groups. But how do you tell photographers, how do you show them a landscape and tell them to take something different? Because, you know, everyone might go wide at 18mm. What do you look for personally when you're taking a landscape? And how can you relate that to all the photographers coming along?
I think the key thing is to step back from what we're doing and say, okay, what is unique? And if we're all at the same place, then that place isn't unique because everybody's in the same place. But what is unique is the way we personally respond to where we are. So, people often think you see things with your eyes.
Right.
Well, you don't. You see things with your brain. Right. Your eyes are the lens. It's like saying with a camera, the lens takes the picture. Well, no, it doesn't. It just brings the light in, and it's the sensor that captures it. And our brain is like the sensor. Now, you can have a sensor that's good at 1600 ISO, and you can have a sensor that's got lots of noise at 1600 ISO.
Right.
Every sensor can be different. So think of your brain as a sensor. So when you're standing there and you're looking out, what you see is totally different to the next person. Now, it may not feel like it is, but some people respond to, like here we are out here, Lee.
Yep.
I love this. I love open spaces. Some people might come out here and feel the nice warm wind. Mm-hmm. Others will hear the waves, and the viewers might be able to hear the waves. Others will just like the wide open space. Others will feel the sand at their feet.
Which is me.
Others will wait for that sun to set and go, there's going to be a beautiful colour. Others will see the seagulls. We have people who might be fishing. I think there's a guy's fishing out behind us.
Yep.
There's a couple walking down. So the same space means something totally different to everybody. So when we're looking out there, whether we're in Fiji looking at palm trees or the beach or a sunset or some guy on a boat, whatever we're doing, it's what's important to us. And then our job is to express that to the rest of the world through our photography, through the medium of communication that is a visual one.
Right.
And we have all of these amazing tools available to us, and some people are absolute whizzes with technique, and others only have a basic set of tools. It really doesn't matter. Sure, you keep building up this set of skills, but even if you only had one good song, you can still get a #1 hit.
Wow.
And the idea is you go out and keep building up your repertoire, right? And just because you don't have 100 great hits doesn't mean you're not good at what you do.
Right.
So you go in, you say, I'm interested in the water, I'm interested in the colour, I'm interested in the texture. I want to show how big the sky is, I want to show how wide the river is. Wide means panoramic. Big sky might mean a big square with a low horizon. All of these things that we respond to give us the starting points for our creative decisions.
Wow.
Now, I could talk about this forever, but you'll have to come along to Fiji to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know that you caught up with one of the instructors.
I did,
from
Ben,
the workshop.
yeah.
Yes. Sum up Benjamin in one sentence, putting you on the spot. He's probably going to be listening to this.
Benjamin at the bar told me to get away because I was too old, and he's going to hate me for telling him, so I filmed him and put him up on the screen in my keynote. And basically, I was in the car park. I think he'd had a few drinks, and he was explaining something which was quite confusing about the fact that he was a motivational philosopher, and the rest of it you'll have to wait. But amazing guy, brilliant photographer, very creative. Really enjoyed his company. Looking forward to spending time with him there as well.
Yeah, and you were obviously speaking at that event.
Yep.
What were you speaking?
Am I still? I thought you just bumped
okay,
in.
yeah. You were speaking it there.
Yeah, okay.
Are you going to sort of translate some of that stuff? Because we will have a lot of photographers who would have gone to the ARPP event.
Sure.
Who might be interested in coming along to Fiji.
Yeah.
What can you tell those photographers who are interested in and have heard you speak?
Yeah.
What can they expect to hear and learn when they come along to your workshop session?
Okay, so when you're in a classroom or you're on stage at a conference, you're a little bit limited in how you can demonstrate what you do.
Right.
And it's not that my classes will necessarily be outdoors, but when you're in an environment that you can be embedded in for a few days, and you're being exposed to amazing instructors which have such a diversity, not just in terms of where they come from around the world, but in their specialties and what they do and how they do it. One of the things that's critical is still being able to identify what's important to you.
Right.
And for me, it's about, I think my role is to assist each and every photographer in getting some confidence around their own personal vision, because that's the very one thing that no matter how much software, technology, no matter what happens in the world, no one can ever be you. No one can see exactly the way you see through your eyes. And we have to take on board all the changes, all the new equipment. I mean, there's so much, it's just happening so fast. But you take it in, you go, okay, how do I apply it to the unique thing I have, me?
Yep.
And every photographer coming has that. Every photographer has the potential to produce something that nobody else has thought of.
Yeah.
And that's my job, I think, to sort of help instill that. And I'm happy to share, what I'll be sharing is my thought processes and the way that I go about when I get to an environment. What do I respond to? What do I look for? How do I apply my skill sets? And my skill sets are nowhere near as much as others, but I have a few, obviously. Yeah. And I'll bring them in and say, this is how I apply what I do.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, Tony is an accomplished writer, he's a speaker, he's a father and master photographer, as well as many other things, master of linguistics as well, from what I hear.
I've done NLP and a few things.
Now, I know personally for myself, I get to a point where photography can just be a little bit of a drain. I get to a point where I'm uninspired to go out and take a photo. And for me, I really wanted to create this Fiji workshop for photographers who are feeling like that, who get stuck in a rut, who can come along, be inspired by these 8 masters coming along to teach on the workshop, these fantastic artists. And it's really going to be an awakening for yourself. And you'll experience that when you come to Tony's workshop session, I'm sure. I know personally I will. But one thing when we're photographers, we need to sort of push past that boundary.
Yeah.
And sort of going, on a tangent, I suppose, from this photography workshop. Tony, your partner is sort of going to be pushing the boundaries.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mentioned that before, but can you explain what a really important event is that all these photographers should get behind?
Oh, well, thank you for the opportunity. Lynette, my wife, is a master photographer herself.
Okay.
And she's a past award winner in WA as well.
Yep.
And she's been photographing longer than I have. In fact, I don't know if you realise, but I became a photographer because I walked into a church as a single guy about 27 years ago.
Yeah.
And as I walked into the church, there was an absolutely gorgeous photographer in the aisle.
Wow.
And that was the photographer at my sister's wedding, who I then went on to marry.
Wow.
So there you go. But Lynette is, we unfortunately lost a nephew last year, our godson.
Sorry to hear it. Yep.
Thank you. And we lost him to what is quite unknown. Like, people have heard of SIDS, but he was 2.5. So as a result of that, there's been a lot of research. They still don't know why.
Right.
And Lynette chose to do something about it. So she decided she'd like to raise awareness and raise money for the SIDS and Kids Foundation.
Right.
And so she took on a task. Now, Lynette has swum from Perth to Rottnest Island, and that, for those who don't know, it's about 20 kilometres off the coast.
Yep.
And she's done it 3 times. It's a big international event. So she said, I've got to do something even bigger.
Wow.
And I said, okay, what's that? And she said, well, I'm going to swim there and back. And it's only been done by a handful of people. In fact, if she does it, I believe she'll be the oldest woman to do it. And she'll hate me saying that. But she doesn't look it.
With the youngest spirit.
The youngest was only 20 or something. But she's going to do that. So she leaves in the dark at 5 a.m. Wow. And so it could be anything between 12 and 14 hours in the water. And so far she's raised a lot of money. And we've had some good coverage over media, but the more people get behind and support it and help us, the further we can spread the message that, there are things that happen that need more research, more understanding, and this is Lynette's effort to do it, to get people to see it. The sudden unexplained death in children, which is what happened to him, or so far that's what they've called it, is what happens to kids over 1 and under the age of 8 or 9, and very few people know about it, and yet it's a significant thing that happens. Yeah. So each of us have our reasons for doing things. Lynette's taking this one on.
Yeah, and I personally didn't know about it, but F-Stop Lounge is going to support this cause as well. We're going to donate, and I encourage you strongly to not only check out the Fiji workshop, but really donate to this cause and get behind it. There's going to be a closing point for the raising of funds.
Yeah, there's a Facebook page actually, which I think is Lynette Swim for SIDS and Kids or something, but they can email me if needed or whatever, we'll give you a link.
I'll link below and also in the video so you can see. But after the event, it's really crucial to keep that ongoing support happening because it is one of those things that we don't know a lot about. And as photographers, we can really get behind Lynette and Tony and really make a difference in the world because at the end of the day, we need to look after each other and that's what we're here for. Now, moving on to the Fiji workshop.
Yep, sounds good. Looking forward to it.
It's obviously going to be a 3-day workshop. Now, I've sort of organised the schedule for you to have 2 groups per evening.
Yep.
So, can you give us another little bit of insight on, through your photographs, what people can expect to see? Because you're going to be sharing some of your photographs
I
as
am.
well.
I am. And I think what I'd like to do is to help people understand not so much the technical side, although I'm happy to share as much as people would like to hear in terms of the technical side. But to me, nowadays, Lee, technically we can learn anything we want to online.
Right.
We can go online and you'll find a tutorial for just about anything out there.
Yeah.
But one of the hard things is to understand the thought processes that people go through. How do creatives create?
Yep.
How do they conceive of ideas? Where does it come from? And most of that comes from inside. And the only thing that gets in the way of us doing that ourselves, each and every one of us, is that confidence that what I'm thinking is worth something. So what I'd like to do is just share some of the ways my crazy mind thinks when I'm looking at pictures. So if I'm up shooting, most of it's instinctive.
Yep.
So walking along, doing a landscape from the ground, you got a little bit more time to assess what's going on.
Yeah.
In a plane, for instance, it's happening really quickly and you're operating instinctively. And then when I look at the work later, I'm looking at it and thinking, what was I responding to? What was it that grabbed me? Was it the colour? Was it the shape? Was it a symbolism? Was it something about that I'd been talking about a week before and suddenly I see a reflection of it in there? And we personally connect with things all the time in the world, and what I'm looking to do is to share the way that I connect with what I'm seeing, and then how I'm translating that into an image that hopefully speaks for itself. Look, I could do anything. I sometimes get up and start doing poetry. Okay. And the poetry can link into my pictures and sort of say, well, if my picture was a poem, here's what it would say.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, I think when people start to realise that you can never do what everybody else does, even when we try.
Yeah, for sure.
And no one else can ever do what you do. So in those evenings, I'm hoping that after having a day with our other instructors and being split up doing technique and shooting and trying things, and I'm sure being inspired, and they'll have their own things that they'll share that come from the heart as well, I'm hoping to help each evening to sort of embed that, help people have a confidence and a personal belief that what they think, what they see, what they want to say with their pictures has value, is valid, and they should go for it. And that's what I want to see, because I tell you what, when I'm out shooting and then I start working on my pictures, I go for it.
Yeah. So you're really going to take them to the next level, which is
I hope so. That's my goal.
Photographers need out there. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay,
here we go. A pop quiz for you.
Okay.
All right, so rapid fire.
Hang on, am I ready? Yep.
Are you ready?
Shoulders, ready,
okay.
Go.
Favourite moment in photography? In your career?
In my career, favourite moment in photography is, God, there's two. One is
go two.
Two. One is being announced as Australian Photographer of the Year.
Yes.
And the other is standing in a plane at 40,000 feet or something, flying to Las Vegas and seeing a scene of a family of 4 Europeans and a family of 4, a Muslim family. And they were sitting there, and in the middle of the plane, this is doing a walk, it's dark, and seeing the little girl from the European family and the little boy from the Muslim family with the, I'm sorry if I get it wrong, but the cultural, the cultural clothing, and he'd fallen asleep across the little girl, and she had her arm across him, and they were just falling asleep across each other. I didn't have a camera. It was the best picture I never took, and it was also one of my favourite moments in photography.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a big one to go off on. But favourite camera? These are hard, right?
They're very hard. Favourite camera? Nikon Phase.
Okay, Nikon Phase. That's a new one. All right, it's Tony's specialty. So he pulls the lens off, sticks it on the face.
Yeah. Oh, look, I can't split them.
Okay.
Horses for courses, I have to tell you.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for joining me, Tony. I really, really appreciate your time. Tony's come down here to show me this beautiful place of Point Walter.
Well, you said come to your office, so I thought, well, okay, here you are. This is all I can afford the rent for, so...
Well, you've got swans coming, you know, they're going to...
Yeah, well, that's my assistant's just over here.
Yeah, nice. Well, thanks very much, Tony.
Pleasure,
really
mate,
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
And thanks for having us. And
no worries.
Really looking forward to getting over there. And all I ask when you come to Fiji, as far as I'm concerned, bring a sense of humour, bring an imagination, and bring the belief that you too can make pictures that, you know, will make people stand up and say, wow, it's going to be a great time.
Great, thanks.
Thanks, mate.
See you next time.
You bet.